Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. Today is Sunday, July 21st, 2019. Today is more of the Pyanodon's playthrough. I have the kitty sitting next to me. He got some lap time a little bit ago, right after I took my shower. Yeah, so he's content for the moment after I turned on his heat pad because I think he wants the heat. So there's a lot of stuff to cover today. Where to start, actually? That is a good question. Where do I even begin today? I suppose I can start by saying that the entire Pie Suite has been updated to fix the recipe migration issues that have been going on for a little while now. So now, when you load up your saves, you shouldn't have any additional issues with having to run a command to get the vanilla recipes back into the game. So, theoretically, there are no more missing recipes at this point in time, which, yeah, that's awesome. So thank you to King Arthur for posting those updates and working on the migration fixes for the recipes. It is highly appreciated. I was getting a little bit tired of having to see the code posted over and over and over again on the forums from people who can't do a simple search on the forums to see, hey, this is a common issue that is going on, and you can use this code, and then everything works. But we needed to have a full fix to it eventually. And it has happened. It has actually happened. I can't believe it. So that's the first thing. The second thing has to deal with the stream itself, this stream, and the logistics of this stream. So there was a bit of an audio delay that was happening with the game itself. Now, ideally, this isn't happening anymore. So if I go to a chest, for instance, the opening sound effect should happen the frame that this thing appears. So the frame that the window appears is when the sound effect for opening should happen. I'll take an ever so slight delay to that, but we were talking, there was a delay on the order of nearly a second on the game audio in Streamlabs OBS, and I have finally found the root of the problem and fixed it. It is a setting in Windows on the sound device properties that needed to be ticked. A tick mark to disable all enhancements, because apparently that's a thing that Streamlabs OBS really does not take kindly to say the least. Anyway, right now there's a bit of a problem on power. Problem on power stemming from not enough coke getting to the end of the line. And part of this is just the efficiency of my lanes running into the system here. As you can see, we're getting just a trickle going in out there. Now what I want to do is stick a splitter here. That should help alleviate some of the problems. Looks like I may want to do a lane balancer as well. Nah, I don't need to do the lane balancer, but what I need to do is I need to better balance the third coke line that I have that exists and terminates here. I need to... Looks like I need to run that third line down because it is backing up, as you can see, on that third line, so I need to bring that in, bring that down a bit further so that it can contribute some more. I'm just gonna take this car with me. So yeah, anyway, that delay on the game audio should theoretically be fixed now. Theoretically, it's fixed now. And it was odd a bit that no one actually had pointed it out at any point. So I guess I know how many people actually are physically watching. I know Factorio is that type of game where you just load up a stream and then start playing on another screen, or just have it in the background if you only have one screen. And I can understand that. But that does end up meaning that because there are less people physically watching, that things like the audio delay was not, at least not reported. Figured wasn't bad enough to bother you. Yeah. Well, when it got to be a full second of delay, actually, for me, as a bit of a perfectionist, a full second is like huge. Even 200 milliseconds is a lot, but manageable. I know because I at least attempt to try to make it synced correctly when I edit the VODs. So it's something that has been annoying me when having to fix it on the VODs, and it had gotten progressively worse over the course of the week last week. It started as something that I could just move like a few frames over, and then it ended up being closer to a full second, and yeah. So thank you, Streamlabs OBS. That is a problem exclusive to you in dealing with audio. Whoops. Do I even need this part of the balancer? I need this part. This part doesn't need to exist. Yet. Oh, that 200%, 210% speed bonus. I love it. So, outside of that, there's still yet more updates because there is a bit of an elephant in the room in that there is supposedly going to be an update tomorrow to Factorio that will change oil processing, and frankly, not for the better. I would hope that the outcry would be enough to at least get them to reconsider or give it more thought than what they have currently given it, because the chosen implementation is not ideal. Absolutely not ideal. So essentially they will be making the current plan is to make basic oil processing only result in petroleum gas. So only one output converting crude to petroleum at basic oil processing. Which, for one, makes no sense whatsoever. That's the first problem, is you took something that was at least partially realistic and now you're making it completely nuts. Not even remotely close to anything even resembling realism. For the sake of simplicity. Purely for the sake of simplicity. No other reason, just for the sake of simplicity. I'm gonna watch as this lane starts coming in, what happens to these two. So you are stopping. I probably need to have this for the throughput. Yeah, I sort of do need that, so I need to go back and add that in, at least for that extra little bit of throughput if things are running fully at max. So, this was announced in a Friday Fast Facts, or whatever the heck it's actually called, the FFF, for this past Friday. And let's just say it's a really, 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 really long thread now of people not liking the change as proposed. And in particular, there is an argument in that it apparently allows for UPS savings on megabases by only having the petroleum output, because so much depends on petroleum, and there are those who will accept a lesser efficiency by making the petroleum gas based solid fuel rather than the light oil based solid fuel. But of course then you have a whole bunch of other people saying never to force them to make solid fuel out of petroleum gas, because that in itself presents a huge problem for new players, because that recipe is not the efficient recipe to make solid fuel, and it forces you to change what you've already built once you hit advanced oil processing and can actually get the light oil. And this, of course, is also brought along with it because of petroleum only existing with basic oil processing. It means that things that need lubricant have been moved to be completely locked behind blue science. And this in particular means you can't build robots at all until blue science as a result. Yesterday, I think... yes, yesterday Nilaus was streaming and did bring up that, well, they're effectively already locked behind blue science, because by the time you make what you need to make robots, you're at blue science. Which is an argument, but not a particularly good one, because you're still... By locking it behind blue science, you are now forcing people to make the blue science first. You are not allowing people to have the option of taking the detour, because it is a detour that you have to take, to get to the robots before you do your blue science, so that you can start stockpiling your robots, creating your robots, and starting to build a stockpile before you set up your full network that you can only do once you do get to blue science and unlock the requester chests, which is the main thing that you get at blue science. I think they're locked behind blue science. Oh, I need to grab more splitters. So, yeah, it forces a specific route for players to take, which is the problem. Or a problem. It is actively taking away from player choice in a game that is completely dependent upon player choice on how to build things. It is based upon... The whole concept is you get to choose how you build. And it gives you options, lets you decide for yourself how you want to build things and in what order you have to build things. With some limits, granted. You do have to do some things in some specific orders, but there are plenty of optional things that you can do along the way that now feel like are being limited because of this decision. It feels like they want you to do things in a very specific way, and that is how it feels that the game is progressively... What the state of the game is progressively moving towards at the moment is having this very specific intended path for you to take in every game that you play, which is, frankly, boring, and why people mod the hell out of their game. Which, in and of itself, is a commentary as to the current state of the game that the developers should be very much watching and taking note of. Because that is, in and of itself, a direct commentary on the quality and state of their game. And, yeah, I will absolutely be modding out the change to petroleum if they do implement it as stated in the Friday Fast Facts. I will absolutely be reverting that change. I don't know about how I'm going to run that further. Do I even need to now is the question. Oh my god, I absolutely need to. Wow, that's a lot that gets eaten. Oh boy. Oh yeah, it might have something to do with the amount of graphite I need. Oops. That might be the problem. After setting up a whole bunch of things that consume graphite. I'm pretty sure I split this off here for you. So it's you that's consuming graphite. Oh boy. But doesn't that mean that as soon as the stainless steel fully backs up, I won't have as many issues again? Now, every other change that they talked about in the Friday Fast Facts, I can at least live with or are objectively good changes. Things like completely being able to disable the input fluid box and output fluid boxes on based off of recipe. So when you do have the basic oil processing, you will now no longer even have the option to attach a pipe to the fluid input that will later be the water input for advanced oil processing. Yay! So that means you never have to remember which side is the water side, for instance. That's nice. That is a good change. How many of these do I even have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12? I have 12 of these? Yeah, no wonder. Oh joy, oh bliss. No wonder. Alright. Where's that third line again? Yeah, I do need you. I need this because you can see here that these are stopping. They are briefly backing up. That means I have potentially more available throughput by adding a third line. That's what that means. Even though after this split here, I officially have less than 30 items per second coming out here because of how much this is taking. I know that going into this whole setup, I have slightly more than 30 going in. So if I want to use that extra, I have to do a balancer out here. This is awkward. Do that. Yeah, that one's not a necessary thingy. Are you a necessary thingy? No. Maybe, actually. Maybe, actually. Last thing I need is to split my networks. Oh boy, I don't think I have enough room. Nope. Not here, anyway. Yeah, that's why. This is so dumb, but it needs to be done. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not good. Never forget your mechanics. This is a very weird balancer, but it works. Okay. This should force enough coke down the lines. Now, I will also note I am consuming a lot more coke to make the molten iron as well. That's currently being used to make the stainless steel to feed that. I'm also apparently in need of steel, because I keep picking up steel. So, now that all that's done, half an hour dealing with the power issues, / the lack of coke for power issues. Yeah, you're still backing up. This is a lane balancing issue. Doesn't necessarily matter where I do this, but I need balanced lanes. Thank you kindly for the balanced lanes. Oh, really? Hmm. That will ideally do the trick. Actually, I have to do it on this side, not really on this side, but I can do that. I want to do it without undergrounds, though. Now, there are ways to do this on corners as well. That helps even everything out a bit, although it might not exactly be even due to this. I don't need that splitter. Now, a good question to have is, why is there such a disparity? Might just be this balancer because it's basically doubling up this lane. This lane is getting the amount of both of these. I would need to do some input priorities, but because I'm losing this third lane down here where I want it to actually be lost. How's the power look now? That's a lot more stable. That is a lot more stable, so now I can officially start to move on. So, the title of today's episode, or today's stream, rather, is Rare Earth Oxides. Because I've been doing a lot of looking at the Circuit 2 chains, plural, lots and lots of things in the Circuit 2 chains, and I've had to modify, shall we say, the expectations for production on Circuit 2s, because I realized that, you know, if I want 3 chip shooter machines making circuit board 2s, I'm gonna need a lot of things that I currently do not have the best of efficient recipes for until after Blue Science. So it's become pretty clear that you're supposed to get some Circuit 2s to get Blue Science that you can then get better, more efficient recipes for to feed more Circuit 2s a bit easier. So that is a thing. So I will only be planning for a single chip shooter machine from this point on for the Circuit 2s. And I've made notes. I've gone through and I've made notes with all of the values of the amounts of things that I need. And in particular, I need some rare earth oxides to fuel the machines, the demands of the machines. Rare earth oxides will be used in the production of, I believe it's the heavy N-doped silicon wafers, as well as directly in, let me see here, it's used directly in something. Diodes It's used directly in diodes. So you need rare earth oxides directly for diodes, and you need it for the heavy N doped silicon wafers, which is used for transistors. And I think that's actually it. That's all you need the rare earth oxides for directly, is just those two things ultimately. But rare earth oxides, actually getting them is a bit of a struggle. It's a good thing that I don't need that much of them, because ultimately it ends up being you only really need to feed one chip shooter machine of circuit board 2s. Ultimately, from my calculations, it's only 1.8 units per second of the rare earth oxides that are required. And in the process that I plan on doing to get rare earth oxides from the rare earth ore, it is a one-to-one relationship of ore to oxide. What you get in is what you put in is what you get out through this whole process of the rare earth stuff. Through the specific branching points that I have chosen for processing. So the rare earth ore processing has a couple, it has two steps that you have the choice of what process you want to do, involving different inputs into the system. So it starts with jaw crushers, crushing rare earth ore. I should also mention that a single rare earth mining machine will give you 5 per second of rare earth ore. So I only need one of these machines to fuel what I need for a single chip shooter machine. This results in rare earth powder. Rare earth powder converts into rare earth dust. In a ball mill, rare earth dust, you have two options in making rare earth mud out of rare earth dust. The more efficient option is the one that uses organic solvent, and it gives you iron ore in the process. In fact, if you were actually processing 15 per second of the rare earth ores using this process, if you can throw enough organic solvent at it, you would end up with a half of a yellow belt of iron ore, 7.5 per second of the iron ore out of it, which is a little interesting, to say the least. But the issue there is that you need a lot of organic solvent to feed that, and you're basically consuming organic solvent to get some iron ore back out of it. But it is a more efficient process overall in terms of dust to mud. The ratio of dust to mud is more efficient, so that's why I was choosing this, regardless of it needing organic solvent to feed it. So from mud, you go into slurry through this recipe using sulfuric acid, a not insignificant amount of sulfuric acid. The slurry is used to make rare earth solution through a single recipe by adding ammonia to it, and it feeds out uranium ore. In fact, if you did throw a full belt at 15 units per second of rare earth ore into this process and you got to this point, you would end up with 3 units per second of uranium ore out. At least I think it's 3. Is it 3? Yes, it's 3 flat per second of uranium ore out at this point. So that's not insignificant, by the way, in terms of the amount of uranium ore out. And this will, of course, make solution. The solution, you now have 3 options for converting the solution into rare earth concentrate. You have one that just takes the rare earth solution itself, you have one that takes in cyanic acid, and you have one that takes in sulfuric acid. This recipe that takes in the sulfuric acid is the most efficient in terms of rare earth solution in to rare earth concentrate out. It is the most efficient on that front. However, you have the option of just doing rare earth solution and also getting iron oxide out, which you need for ferrite as part of another section of the circuit 2 chain. You need ferrite for the inductor 2s. And ferrite only comes from iron oxide, as well as nichrome and zinc plates. And iron oxide, you do have a bunch of options otherwise to get it, which is why I've chosen to do the sulfuric acid route. And I am just going to ignore cyanic acid. It's also in a different machine for this cyanic acid route, but it does give you chromium. So at least there's that. Now, this one that takes in sulfuric acid, it gives you copper plates, and actually, if you are throwing a full 15 per second of the rare earth ore in, and following the route of using the organic solvent processing in that previous branch, you will end up with 15 per second of copper plates out here. You will end up with a full yellow belt of copper plates here, if you can feed enough sulfuric acid into this system, which is likely not going to happen because it needs 225 per second of sulfuric acid at this phase. And actually, going back a bit onto the slurry, this slurry step needing sulfuric acid, if you're throwing the full yellow belt in of the ore to actually process all of it, and you're at this phase after previously choosing the route of the organic solvent, yeah, this is 300 per second of sulfuric acid to fully process this into the rare earth slurry. So you already had a 300 per second in on the sulfuric acid. Doing this step adds another 225 into the mix. So 525 units of sulfuric acid per second consumed to process a full yellow belt of rare earth oxides. And that just leaves making concentrate at this point. You actually end up with 30 per second of concentrate out by doing this, as well as the 15 per second of the copper plates. And then there's one more step, because you then go into the rare earth oxides. This will also give you iron oxide out, so there's 2 steps in here that you have. One is optional to give you some additional iron oxide, and then there's this one that gives you iron oxide that you can use to make ferrite out of. And so this will give you the oxides, and as I had said before, if it's 15 ore in, it's 15 oxides out following this specific chain that I have demonstrated here. And this would actually take 30 solid separators to do, because a solid separator does 1 per second on the input. So yeah, that's a thing. It would also give you 18 per second of iron oxide out, which is a lot. But as I said before, to feed one chip shooter machine of circuit 2s only requires 1.8 per second of this stuff, of rare earth oxides. 1.8! Even if you were running the 3 chip shooter machines, you still need less than 5. Well, not less than, but just over 5 per second. 5.4 per second is what you need if you're doing 3 chip shooter machines. 5.4. So, yeah. Don't even think or consider doing at this point in the game, do not process a full yellow belt of rare earth oxides. That is a dumb idea. Absolutely stupid. It is a massive waste of resources to attempt to feed the thing when the whole thing's going to be incredibly backed up to begin with. It's like that is a recipe for getting backed up and staying that way for a very long time. So, rare earth mines. Rare earth extractors. I will need to pick up batteries and those things. Those things are somewhere. Somewhere up above. I have to go up. Up from here. So my goal is to process at least 1.8 units of rare earth oxides. That sounds like a plan. I know that I will be mining 5 per second, and thankfully, when it comes to the mining of rare earth oxides, you don't need drill heads. And you don't need any of any sort of gas or any of that nonsense. You don't need lots of things. I need to go here. So it's actually just power a mine. For once, in this mod set, it just comes down to power a mine. Now, the actual extractor does require laser turrets, so you had to go the route of getting to batteries before even thinking about doing this. Oh, and then there was one other thing. Zinc. Zinc is going to be massively required along this entire process of making the circuit 2s. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to this today, but I think either my math was off or there's been a change to zinc at some point since I first set this up, because 4 ball mills does not process a full yellow belt. Nor does 5 ball mills process the full output of 4 ball mills. 5 impact crushers, excuse me. 5 impact crushers does not process the full output of 4 ball mills. It's 6. And then this is 10 when this should be 12. And it would feed at this advanced foundry. So yeah, the math's a little bit off on the zinc, and I should go and fix that, as well as double it. I can double this and still be fine because I'm getting a yellow belt out on the zinc here. And that ends up feeding 7.5 units of zinc plates in the end after doing all of that expansion to process the full yellow belt of ore in. And for the record, if I were to try to do 3 chip shooter machines of circuit 2s, I would need a lot more than 7.5 units per second of zinc plates. I would need significantly more, shall we say. More than a full yellow belt of plates. Where is my nearest car? There's a car. A vehicle. There are 2 vehicles. There is one right out there by the inserters. Yeah, this way. So I have the extractor. What else do I need? I need jaw crushers that I have. I need ball mills. What do I need to make another one? Copper plates. Alright. I need agitators, thickeners, fluid separators, and evaporators. So the agitators, those require freaking melamine. And I have to pick up some engine units. So the goal for today is obviously, I want to set up the rare earth chain. In this case, off of one miner. I will absolutely not have enough organic solvent per second to feed it fully, nor will I have the sulfuric acid to feed it fully. But remember, all I need is 1.8. 1.8 per second of oxides out. Still short on melamine. Let there be melamine. I want, like, to make at least 2 agitators. I'm unsure, actually, how many I need. I can calculate. I calculated for 3. I can just divide by 3 to get a rough estimate. So I will need more than 2. I will need 3. Ish. That's enough melamine for 3. I dislike agitators because it does require the melamine, and it's inconvenient to get to it. How's the power? Again? Again, it's freaking doing that. Still? Why? Like seriously though, why? It's just a lot. It just needs a lot. Allet. It needs allet. Absolutely allet. To feed everything. I think I might need to straight up expand my coke. Now, if this stops at any point, then I know there is a slight issue further back. No, it doesn't look like it's at all stopping, so I know that I am actually demanding more than the full throughput of 3 yellow belts. Because none of these are backing up, I know that I am consuming the full throughput of all of those. Now, the question of the day is... are any of these backing up? Technically speaking, I have 3.2 items per second being made of coke, but because I have mined out a little bit, I am no longer making 3.2. Oh boy. How many are missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. 16. 17. Oh boy, there's not enough room to add 17 more, is there? Onto this patch anyway. Yeah, I need to get ore from another patch. Oh yeah, by the way, this is mining out and making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of landfill. I'm fine with that. I will accept that. Oh yeah, and there was another thing I wanted to mention. So, right here, Pyanodon, if you ever watch this, What is right here? Well, we've got a 1.7 mil salt and 4 that end up being 6 mil salt. Right next to them, though, we've got a 2130% tar patch and a 5426% tar patch. 5426 and 2130 is 7,556 percentage points, which, if you actually consider how much per second that is 755.6 tar per second the moment it's tapped. AKA about 63% of the throughput of a pipe. Consistently. The consistent throughput of a pipe. Which is about 1,200 units per second. It is the output of a offshore pump. So, I have tar. Again. This is the most efficient patch that I have. I also have sulfur that is sitting around in this general vicinity. There actually is a sulfur patch right down here, and another one that's somewhere over here. Combined total several million units of sulfur between them. The one over here is like 9, and then the one down here is 6 to tap into. Plus I have these 3 over here on sulfur. So if I really wanted to increase my sulfur output to 60 units per second, I could actually do that. And what's important about 60 units per second of sulfur? Well, that's enough to actually produce enough sulfuric acid to feed the conversion of 15 items per second of the rare earth stuff into rare earth oxides. It's actually more than it gives you. That gives you 600 units per second of sulfuric acid of sulfuric acid. You need 525, so it actually gives you enough to spare. I'm also going to tap into the 1.7 rare earth right here. That's one that's going to get tapped. So this map continues being amazing. It just continues being awesome. Now, as for what I'm going to do about feeding in coal, that I do not know. I have a 5.2 up there. That is denser. Don't know about putting how many? Oh, 92 mining drills on it. Why 90? Why 92? I would think 90 was my plan. There's 2 extras there. I don't know about fitting that many on that coal patch, but yeah, this one's getting tapped out. I just need to go, again, hunting for a really big coal patch. Anyway. Engine units. Keep getting distracted. 1, 2, 3 agitators, please. Then, after agitators is thickeners. Thickeners. I need 5-ish. Oh, you're making lamps, huh? I happen to have lamps. I happen to have lamps right here. That should be enough thickeners. Then I need fluid separators. 5 of those. Looks like I might need... what do I need? Wood? Maybe? Duralumin. That's the one. That's the one. Let's see. 4 evaporators. And then... Okay. 10 solid separators. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That should be everything. 10 solid separators, 4 evaporators. Where are the evaporators? Evaporators? Oh, did they end up... Oh, they're not being made yet. Okay. So, 4 evaporators. 5 solid fluid separators. 5 fluid separators. 5 thickeners. 5 thickeners. 3 agitators. Ball mills. That's the other thing. I need, I think... Exactly? It's either 3 or 4 here on the rare earth dust. Let's see, it would be... I need to process 2.5, it's 4. So I need 2 more ball mills. And that should be that. Alright, that is that. I should definitely have enough jaw crushers. I'm not even worried, and I have the 1 mine. Okay, this will be a thing. But I think first off, I want to take a brief break. And when I return, we will be setting up this rare earth production line, rare earth oxide production line. I will be back shortly-ish. I have returned from the break, feeling a lot better than what I was. So I should have all the buildings that I need to do the processing, provided I can throw enough resources at the problem for inputs other than the ore that I will be mining. So perhaps I should mention as well that I haven't showed this yet, actually. So molybdenum, the sprite has been updated for the molybdenum ore. Yay! Huzzah! All that good stuff. So molybdenum is now updated on its ore sprite set. So now it's looking absolutely wonderful. Very, very pretty. And in line with all of the other types of ores. Rare earth has also been updated. As I continue to move around the thingy here. Rare earth ore has also apparently been updated. But I'm not going to... Well, you're going to see it soon. It looks a bit similar to iron, except it's gray. Dark gray. It's a little bit similar in the look and feel. So I'm not going to mine any of those rare earth patches. I am instead going to go up actually closer to the molybdenum patch to do this mining. This is the one right here. This is the area that I have deemed to be the best for my purposes at the moment. Now, of course, it's always a pain in the rear to tell the difference, especially on this dark gray background with all of these rocks cluttered over the actual rare earth bolides. So first thing is I need to clear away a lot of the rock that is in my way, and I also have to think about how I'm going to route stuff, where I'm going to actually build the processing buildings, how they're going to be oriented. I have done things generally aligned on the left for the most part. For the most part, I try to keep things left aligned. This one is more closer to right aligned, but eh. But generally speaking, this one's like top aligned-ish. See, all of this is left aligned on the niobium, left aligned on the quartz. So I'm going to try to keep things left aligned as best as possible, which means clearing out the rocks to the right, because being left aligned means expanding the buildings to the right. And as you might expect, I will need several fluids in. In particular, I will need to have organic solvent in, as well as ammonia in, as well as sulfuric acid. So at least those 3 pipes will be required for inputs. I do not know if I even have enough ammonia production at the moment to take care of this. Let alone, I know that I probably don't have the production of the organic solvent to feed this properly. Pretty sure that I don't. So I wanted to tap the 1.7 mil patch here. Just want to make sure that I don't overlap another thingy. This will be 5 per second, and remember what I said, it is only going to need power. That's all it needs is power. And it will produce 5 per second, 2.5 per second actually, now that I'm looking at the actual mining time. So mining time of 200% halves things, halves lots of things. So it would be 6 mines for a full throughput yellow belt. Interesting. Another person brave enough to tackle Pyanodon. Yes, I am 92 hours of streaming into this. Well, not necessarily of streaming, but 92 hours into this playthrough that I have been streaming from the start. Now, I was just looking at this rare earth extractor, and I was just thinking, you know, this is neat how this works. What would be neater is if this could be rotated to the actual output arrow. That would be cool, so that you would see the animation of the ore as it actually exits out of the output arrow. That would be cool and nice. I'm just going to do a simple balancer there. You're just getting into green science. Yeah, that was long, long ago for me. I just made the one building, the one assembling machine making green science in the end, and let's just say it, enough time has passed that I have every tech I can currently get at the moment while working towards the circuit 2s. And stainless steel and all that. I guess technically speaking, my hunt for stainless steel, I don't know how absolutely necessary that was if I strictly only really needed circuit 2s to progress, but they're good to have. Stainless steel's good to have, and aramid is required on the hunt on the path to circuit 2s anyway, so let's see. Right now, it's all about the rare earth. Oh, and of course I did take the time to set up I did take the time to set up more efficient processes for processing iron and for processing copper and for processing zinc and molybdenum and tin and quartz and niobium and nickel and lead and titanium and all of the things I took the time to do properly. Yes, raw ingredients is just the aramid really that I needed, and that's another input. If I had wanted to actually do the 3 chip shooter machines to make circuit 2s as I had originally intended, I would have actually needed another machine to make even more aramid because I wouldn't have had enough. Base right now is mostly a collection of boxes and warehouses. Keep putting off making a bus. Yeah, this is just crazy. This is just because I'm stubborn and I don't really like doing the transition to a robot-based base early. And when I do, it's like nothing else will change with my base. When I do go into robots, they'll just fly the distances. As inefficiently as that is, it's just throw more robots at the problem. That'll be my my line of thinking. Throw more things at the situation. I'm gonna actually put these right. No. There. I only need 2. Actually, I only need 1. Now I'm thinking about it. I did all my calculations based off of 5 per second on the input. One of these machines is only 2.5 on the input, so actually I only need 1. 1 jaw crusher. I need half of what I made. And even with 1, I'm still going to get out enough, more than enough, rare earth oxides to feed what I need to feed a single chip shooter machine making circuit 2s. So, fortunately, you don't need a lot of rare earth oxides but you do need a non-zero amount, which is equally important. Now, this will also give stone, a not insignificant amount of stone. So as I go out, I need to filter out the stone. The usual byproducts, stone and gravel, being the main two initially when doing the more advanced processing. Yes, rare earth dust. I need to process 1.25, which means I am going to need 2 ball mills. It will produce gravel. It is a guaranteed output on both. Yes, it can be tough to get rare earth oxides, but as I said in discussing this whole chain previously, it ultimately, the bottlenecks come down to how much sulfuric acid you can throw at it and how much potentially organic solvent you can throw at it. So it really comes down to those. Ammonia somewhat, but really sulfuric acid is the big one. That's the big bottleneck on it. If you're trying to scale it up significantly, trying to do a full yellow belt throughput processing of ore into rare earth oxides, yeah, that's going to be a massive pain. Massive pain, especially if you don't have any convenient sources of sulfur through the sulfur pipes, vents, or whatever, veins, sulfur veins is what they're called here. I happen to have this already tapped for 15 units per second. You need 60-ish. A little less than 60, but in that ballpark per second of sulfur to feed the amount of sulfuric acid properly. It's 5 mines. 6 mines to get a yellow belt of the oxides. 5 mines per sulfur. So yeah, it ends up being a lot. I mean, look at where I am. I think I have more than 6 rare earth mines. I have 10 sitting right here of rare earth. Right next to each other. 10 there. I have another... I have 6 here. Not that great of density, but I have 6 there, and I have 6 here, and elsewhere I have... That's regolite. All that's regolite. There's 3 more. There's another 5, 10 up here. Another 10 there, and yeah, that... Pyanodon has really complained about this map. 10,000 only of iron ore at the start. Jeez, yeah, that's low. Lowest resource setting. Yeah, I think you're basically unplayable at that level of iron. Basically unplayable. You're not going to even have enough iron. Like, you'll have to keep running back and forth on your mining of iron from a distant location to feed in to other things. It's like, oh yeah, talk about manual feeding of your iron production, having to run all the way out, and you'd probably have to do the same thing to even get enough copper to get enough power poles to power mining drills so far away. And if you're early enough in the game and you're trying to do it out of the burner mining drills, then that just adds a whole nother level to it. It's like, oh yeah, so now you've got to also run coal out to them on top of everything else. Now, I need to, like, memorize where the heck gravel is. So what tab is it? It's under coal processing. Okay, where is it under coal processing? It is here. Okay, it is here. Just have to memorize. This is here, right next to iron oxide. That's good to note that it's under optical, above soil, and near iron oxide. So know that all these useful things are close to each other when I do this filter. Alright, so those can go die a fiery death. Then it's agitators. I had made 3, but I probably don't need that many. This is gonna make I'm processing 1.25, right? 1.25. 0.9 over 1.5 times 1.25, 0.75. Dang it, that means I do need 2 of these. Oh, and I should face the opposite direction. Slurry in, stuff out. So 1.25. No, 0.75. 0.75 yielding 40 over 1.2 times 0.75, 25 mud per second, and a bit of iron. The iron boring is actually a net positive, oddly enough. Pretty good net positive once you have the tech to get into Unslimed Iron and Pulp 1, which is excellent. But otherwise, not so much. Rare Earth is a huge exception to boring. Now, is it? Where is... Alright, so there's this. That gives me what I have currently. The next, where's Excavation 2? Excavation 2 does not give rare earth, does it? No. So Excavation 2 does not give you rare earth. Is there an Excavation 3? Probably not. So yeah, that is an exception. That is an exception. Well, there's diamonds. Guess kimberlite's also an exception, technically speaking. Yep. Gotta mine rare earth. So this belt is a small amount of iron ore. A very small amount of iron ore. 2 over 1.2 times 0.75. That's 1.25 per second of iron ore. I can do something like... make concrete here-ish? Or I can just burn it with everything else. I don't really feel like actually processing that iron into plates out here. I could just migrate my iron processing out here and tap into these. I do need to do another tap on iron ore, but it can wait. It can wait. Next is thickeners. Glorious thickeners. Probably need 2 of these. It's 20 per second. No, is it thickeners? Wait. No, that takes concentrate. This is mud. So no, it's not the... Wait, did I just take the evaporators? Wait, what? Did I mix up my machines? That is the recipe. Oh, that was molybdenum. Okay. That was the molybdenum. This is problematic. Yes, future you problems. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I do need exactly 2 of these. 20 per second of rare earth is what's actually... No, it's not 20. What is it? It's 40 over 1.2 times 0.75. 25. I need 3. It is 3 of these. Yes, this is what process that you'll need to do once you get into your work on Circuit 2s, although I would suggest not going to this point until after going through and improving your production on every single type of regular ore patch and start actually mining every ore patch first. Well, you know, according to Pyanodon, very, 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 very few people get past Circuit 2. Like, almost no one makes it past Circuit 2s. Which means it's a bit of a victory making it there, but it also says something about the mod itself, honestly. It's like, well, isn't that actually a problem? Is that really something you should be, happy about? I don't think so. Okay. Not particularly something I think that anyone should be bragging about. It's like, yeah, people quit my mod less than 10% of the way into it. It's not 10%, but the point stands. It's like, oh, they've hardly progressed halfway in. No one makes it past this point. Yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing. You should want people to fully experience your mods, not quit partway through. This is only fluids. Yes, this is only fluids to deal with. So next is the fluid separators. Fluid separators. Now, how much are we actually making here? Off of 20... Oh, it's 25. That's really easy math. Rare earth solution. I need to process 25 of the slurry into solution, which means I am, of course, going to need 3. Fortunately, I can have these back to back. Yeah, that's pretty much what Pyanodon tells folks. Just get good. Then again, Pyanodon also has a bit of a sadistic side that is quite prevalent. Does take pride, I think, in people's pain and suffering. So, you're very tempted to try Hellmod. There's a problem with Hellmod, with Pyanodons, if you're planning on using it. Know that it does not quite handle the efficient processing of plates, all of this type stuff. It doesn't quite handle it very well because it's output oriented and not input oriented. I don't think it handles things like geometric series very well, if at all, if it even calculates properly the geometric series that exist in some of the processing setups, like chromium, for example. Chromium in this processing chain has 2 geometric series in it. And I'm uncertain if Hellmod is actually able to properly calculate that. It may often tell you that you need a lot more inputs than what you actually need to get your desired output. And I think it's far better to use something like this mod here, Actual Craft Time, I think is this one. So this is actual craft time, and it lets you do manual adjustments and shows you the actual amounts per second to do planning. Plan off of this, I would say, rather than Helmut, and make use of what is it really used for to figure out what the chains are. Yeah, actual craft time I have come to basically rely on. It saves so much time of having to do the math manually. Fluid separators. After fluid separators is evaporators. The evaporators, but you have uranium as an output as well. Uranium. No, you are a fluid output. I do not need to do anything else. You are a fluid output. Evaporator. Now, there is also an issue with actual craft time, because actual craft time, A, doesn't take into account the mining speed on ores. That does impact how much ore you're getting per second per miner. and it does not take into account percentage-based products. So there are those two caveats when using the actual crafting time mod. It does not take into account increases or decreases to mining speed. That's based on the type of ore that you're trying to mine, and it doesn't take into account percentage-based outputs. It will assume that it will always produce an output rather than a percentage. So things like this rare earth bolide, this has a mining time of 200%. The machine has a mining speed of 5 per second. If the mining time was 100%, then a machine would give you 5 per second. But it's 200%, so it's actually 2.5 per second on the rare earth ore out, even though actual crafting time only, it tells you that it's supposed to be 5, because it's not taking into account mining time. And there are some ores, mining time goes up to 300% in Pyanodons. A lot of ores are 200%. There are some things that are 300%. Specifically borax. Borax is 300%. And I don't think there's anything that's less than 100. Quartz is 200. Titanium's 200. Iron's normal and copper's normal, but I think those are the only two that are normal. I think most everything is either 200% plus. It seems like the default is 200% for the vast majority of ores. Evaporators. You are doing the sulfuric acid version of this. Oh joy, I'm going to need to have space. Wonderful, beautiful space. Oh, and that's a bit of a pain. Why would you... Why would you do this? Why on the right side? Why on this edge? Makes no sense at times. Maybe having better ability to define which fluid boxes are enabled in the coming update will help with this. Because that is a good change, actually, being able to define which fluid boxes are enabled or disabled based off of recipe on a machine. That will be amazing. It will be awesome. Now I just plopped 3 down and I don't even know if I need 3. What was my math again? It was 25. 25. Gosh, it's still 25. Hey, it's only 2. That's good to know. 25. Theoretically, that should be the amount of solution. That's theoretically the amount of solution, because it's from here, it's 0.75. It's 1.25 making 0.75 making 25, and that seems to be 1-to-1s all the way down until you get to here, so then 25 making 5. Ooh, that's a full lane. Thank goodness it is only one full lane. But I'm still going to belt balance it somewhat. Copper plates, excuse me, copper plates, there we go. Other side. Another interesting output that I have no idea what the heck I'm actually going to do with, because I am backed up just a little bit on copper plates. It's like, what's the point? What? It's like, what's the point? I'm probably not even going to consume 2.5 per second on copper plates. I could route it up and say, hey, input priority, these. Okay. Assuming that I am currently demanding in my system more than 2.5 copper plates per second, that would be a solution. Don't know if it's the solution, but it is a solution. Okay, so that's evaporator step. Last step is solid separator. Well, my solution involves fire and brimstone most of the time. Not warehouses. I don't do the warehouse thing usually. No, I prefer fire and brimstone. That is my solution. Often. So solid separators, lots of them. 5 of them, actually, in this case. Solid separators. Move over the tile, thank you. Making rare earth oxides. Well, here's the thing. You have a gun, don't you? Hover over that warehouse and push C. So, the manual way is, yes, you can fill a warehouse, and when the warehouse is full of something that you don't want, destroy it. Yes, you might want more than just a pistol. Maybe a shotgun. A shotgun is probably the better option. Or maybe, you know, a rocket launcher. I don't have explosives. I would totally do that. I would totally do that. But, yeah, shotgun with shotgun shells. That will destroy your buildings for you. Even the SMG is a bit better. Okay, this gives me the opportunity to feed these in. Yeah, see, that's the one thing I'm not currently running on this playthrough, is, nanobots. I keep being tempted to because of the stupid amounts of rocks that, Alien Biomes adds. It's like, it is incredibly dumb how many rocks are in the way. But I'm trying not to rely on it this time, on this particular playthrough. They would be nice to have, though. It would make building a fair bit faster. But manual building does not bother me much. So that's it. By the way, that's that is that, as they say. That is that. I I do need actually to move these one over. Now that that's set up, the hard part, aka logistics. Also, iron oxide. Iron oxide, you. That's the next one. Now, fortunately, there is something I can do with this 3 per second of iron oxide. I actually need more than 3 per second iron oxide, I think. Let me look. How much ferrite? Let's see. 3. Need 1.6 ferrite per second. I need 8 per second of iron oxide in total to feed the amount of inductor 2s that are needed for a single machine making circuit 2s. So I'll need another 5 of that, but it is a thing that I need. Fortunately, I know exactly how I'm going to get that additional 5. So, iron oxide. There's this recipe with nitrobenzene. It's a thing. It exists. But there's also this. This exists. And this. Oh boy. Hello, 2 per second. 2 per second iron oxide. 2 per second per classifier. 5 per second stone per classifier. 4 per second gravel. From 20 per second on coarse fraction. Here's the thing. There are these things called sand extractors. "14 of them will give you 20 per second coarse fraction at the cost of 8 iron sticks. How much is 8 iron sticks? Well, that is 2 of these. Less than 2 of these. So if it's half as many plates, you're talking 4 per second of iron plates. Four per second of iron plates to feed 2 per second of iron oxide, ultimately. 4 per second of iron plates to feed that. And then coarse fraction. No, I was trying to think. You can then do this recipe as the cat rips all his fur out of him while he's trying to groom next to me. You can then take the stone that this thing is feeding out, or that the classifier, I think it was the classifier anyway, where you making, was it you? Yes, it's you. taking course fraction in, giving the... Close that. There. So you then also get 5 per second of stone that can feed back in with even more course fraction. Yes, and then there's also the chromite sand from the rich... Yeah, get that out of your mouth, kitty. It's good to see you grooming after you have all this matting and knots, but you're now straight up ripping them out of your fur, and that, I'm sure, hurts like hell. Anyway. So, we have options. Okay? We have options for iron oxide, but ultimately I think the intention is to do this recipe with nitrobenzene, because you're going to need nitrobenzene for some other things as well. You're going to need nitrobenzene in... What even is it again? In the cladding. You need nitrobenzene for cladding. For cladded cores, for copper coatings, for Kevlar coatings, for the niobium iron coatings, the NBFE coating, which is required for optical fiber. So, you do need nitrobenzene production anyway. I'm sure the issue, however, comes into play when considering the amounts of nitrobenzene. Do I have a high pressure furnace here? Yes, I do. So, where is that recipe? Based off of nitrobenzene. So, there is this. I said I needed an additional 5, yes? See, this is a lot less iron per second. This is a lot less per second. You need 25 units of nitrobenzene per second. 25 per second to feed the excess of what's needed. And then, what building is nitrobenzene made in? An FB reactor. Do I have one of those sitting around? I have an FTS, not an FB. FB is here. Now, it doesn't matter to me if they're slow, that just means add more. Nitrobenzene. Oh look, it's one FB reactor makes enough to feed the 5 more that I need. Just one. Yeah, it's more sulfuric and ammonia in this system, and then benzene. What was my... Where's my benzene production line again? Where do I have that? I think it's after Zipier. It's... Hello, benzene. I have 2 things making benzene out of aromatics and slurry. Coal, water, slurry, fuel. Made out of tailings, which I have an absolute ton of. In fact, I'm voiding tailings. So I've got benzene through these 2 DDCs. Can I just make a DDC to have on hand so I can quickly look up exactly how much I'm making? Exactly how much am I making from the coal slurry? I am making 20. Oh, wonderful. Great! So I need to... I probably do have to scale that up a little bit, but as you can see, like, oh, it's 12.5 benzene. That's... yeah, I think I'm making more than enough there. I'm currently making exactly 100 units per second of sulfuric acid. And then I have no idea about ammonia. I have no idea how much ammonia I'm actually making if I have that much spare, but I know I can make at least enough nitrobenzene to feed the remaining amount of iron oxide I need for the ferrite that I need to feed the system. However, you also need nitrobenzene to make cladding. Cladding is made in assembling machines. Where... here. Cladding. There. Cladding, how much am I going to actually need? I don't think I did that math yet. Did I do the math on cladding? I... don't think so, no, sadly. Ugh. Alright, optical fiber is made, I think, also in one of these. So optical fiber... I do know how much optical fiber I need. 1.2 over 3. I need 0.4 optical fiber. 0.4 OF. That's a lot less. That's divided by 3. 0.4 over 3. 0.13 repeating of NBFE. Cladding. Or coating. NBFE coating is made also in the assembling machine. I need 0.133 repeating, that is 1-to-1 on the Kevlar coating, which is 1-to-1 on the copper coating, which is not made in these. Copper coating, electrolyzers. Do I have what I need to make an electrolyzer? I do. I'm taking the time to do this now so that I know what I need going forward, pretty much. And I'm not too miffed about not continuing to work on this setup when I have all the machines down already, because all that's left is just doing the logistics and giving it power. There's actually no point to physically making the iron oxides yet, because I need so much else that needs to be made in order to actually use the stuff that I'm making. So there's... why take the time to get it and have it just sit, doing nothing? It's all hooked up, but it's doing absolutely nothing until everything else is set up to begin with. So... and the goal for the week is to not even finish Circuit 2s, but to get through this iron oxide stuff and get through, like, some of the other pieces of the puzzle. To get through, I think I want the PCB2 and this coating, this optical fiber as well, because once I have optical fiber, PCB2, and rare earth oxide mining done, everything else falls into place, because everything else uses the stuff that's used to make those three things. Alright. I will continue streaming, and hopefully provide at least some sort of background for you. Alright, this is... Alright, so we were saying about the Kevlar coating being 1:1, and I needed 0.133 repeating. Rocket launch tomorrow! We shall see. We shall see how long it ends up taking for you. I mean, rocket launch is fine if you're not doing Pyanodons. Now, if you're doing Pyanodons, ooh boy. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be launching a rocket anytime soon. Not anytime soon if you just hit green science. Alright, so, and then... That's half? Yes, that's half, so... Now we're going from 0.133 repeating to 0.066. 0.06 repeating of cladded cores. We're almost at cladding. We're almost at cladding. So the cladded cores are what are made out of cladding. So this is in the assembly machine. Alright, so now I know how much cladded core I need. I need 0.06 repeating, and that is a 1:1 with cladding. Okay, that's what I needed to know. So, in the end, the math is 0.75, or it's 37, 37.5 divided by 0.75 times 0.06 repeating. Three and a third units of nitrobenzene per second. 3.3 repeating per second of nitrobenzene needed per circuit board 2 chip shooter machine at Mark 1. Excellent. 3 1/3 per second of nitrobenzene. I mean, it's so little cladding needed that you can use a regular assembling machine. You don't even need to use the automated factory. Now, automated factories, actually, they're better on energy consumption than the regular assembling machines. I've warmed up to them because they are better on the energy consumption for their speed. Clad. Oh, and you can't even do cladding. You can't even do cladding in a regular assembling machine because you can't do fluid inputs on the standard assembling machine in this mod set. So, yeah. Although technically I can make the blue assembling machine because I can technically make advanced small parts. If I literally go over and I grab some nylon and some rubber, which I am making, I can handcraft assembling machine 2s. Like, that's nuts. In a way. And assembling machine 2s are far from worth making. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, these aren't worth making. Crafting speed, 0.75. Requires tons of awful things or tons of expensive things to make. When an automated you're paying for the footprint of the machine at that point. And yes, it is an ingredient used in other things, probably the Mark II. No, not even in the Mark II automated factory. Maybe the Mark III? I don't know. It's not even used in the Mark II automated factory because it still uses assembling machine 1. That is odd, actually. Why? And why regular engine units? Yes, at Green Science, this... Okay, so I can think of a few ways to improve this recipe to make it actually viable at Green Science and actually having it unlocked at Green Science. A, make it need circuit board 1. B, make it need assembling machine 2 instead of assembling machine 1. All of a sudden, now you can actually make it technically before you have Blue Science. Now, this is one of the complaints I do have, is that, oh, you get access to all of these wonderful and beautiful things that all require Circuit 2s at Green Science, but if you have Circuit 2s, you're no longer at Green Science, you are at Blue Science. Now, I know earlier in the stream I made mention of, hey, Nilaus says that the change for the robots in vanilla to be locked behind Blue Science makes sense because by the time you get robots, you effectively already have Blue Science. To which I counter argue that by doing that, you are now removing the choice to, instead of immediately setting up your Blue Science, to start accumulating robots before you set up your Blue Science. That decision has now been made for you in this change to lock them behind the next tech. So my argument here isn't lock these Mark IIs behind Blue Science because they are effectively already locked behind Blue Science. My argument is make them be able to be earned a little bit sooner so that you have the ability to make them at Green Science, right? Because otherwise, there really isn't a point because you don't have the option here. This is not an option of being able to make them before making the science. While it's something you can do, the science pack by that point is so trivial to make that you do legitimately have Blue Science made before you start making these machines. So I don't think any of these machines should require circuit board 2s, to be completely honest. That or Blue Science needs to be massively overhauled, which theoretically it is, right? It is being massively overhauled in Pi Alien Life, right? As is Red Science and every other science. But Pi Alien Life seems to be more of an optional add-on that changes a lot compared to this experience, and it doesn't seem like it's sort of part of the core experience. Oh, and Pyanodon has actually already said that yes, those sciences are changing with alien life. If you have alien life, the science will be different. So, and he's already posted an image, couple images of the new red science chain as part of alien life. So the red science will be a little bit different. And I'm expecting green will be different, and blue will be different, and all of that. So here's all of this now done. I will need, like, 2 FP reactors. Okay, that's going to be enough. 2 FB reactors. Just add 1 benzene, and I think we're good. Well, Angel's bioprocessing never got finished, so no matter what, it's always going to be lacking. Now, I'm not going to power this, but while I'm here, I'm going to at least belt this. This is the uranium. I'm sure there will be those that will hate me for doing this, for the record. Yeah, Angel's bioprocessing, as far as I'm aware, is incomplete. It is a beta product at the moment. And yet, C-Block sort of completely depends upon its existence. So, yeah, that's a thing. Also, Bob's greenhouses exist, therefore Angel's bioprocessing is largely a moot point. You have to go through the conscious effort of choosing not to play with Bob's greenhouses and make the objectively inefficient decision to not use it. I need coal or coke. Preferably without tapping into that. Hello. Yeah, that's a bit of a hike, shall we say. I'll do it, but probably don't have enough belt. And it's sad, because there's, like, legit no real reason to ever do Angel's version of wood production. Like, there's legit no reason to do the Arboretum. Ever. Just use Bob's. Now that is something, actually, that I hope the, that Pie-Coal Touched by an Angel mod addresses. Because I would like to see that if it detects that the greenhouses for Bob's are enabled, in the mod. It needs to modify some things so that it's actually somewhat more balanced for that setup, because it is incredibly overpowered. Just think, Bob's greenhouses in a Pyanodon's game. How strong that would be. How powerful having free wood is. Like, legit free, fast wood production. The water requirements for the base Bob's greenhouses are minuscule, and the material cost for the buildings is nothing compared to the cost of the machines to start producing wood in Pyanodons. I'd say you'd have to multiply the material cost for the greenhouses for Bob's by at least 10 to be even remotely comparable, as well as adjust the growth times. And then there's the whole thing that it skips logs fully, so it skips the step of making logs. I guess you could change it so that the Bob's greenhouses make logs, and then you can process them into wood in the wood processing unit. That might be an option. And make them somewhat semi-comparable in production rates for the logs as the botanical nurseries. Although the Bob's greenhouses do have a smaller footprint, so I don't know, all these things that King Arthur has to keep in mind when rewriting the mod at the moment to make things compatible and to try to do some rebalancing. This is why King Arthur says that they're going to release the rewritten code ideally come the 1st of August, and then continuously work towards the rebalancing issue, because it's going to take a long time, a lot longer than they initially anticipated, to do the rebalancing. So that will happen basically in stages at this point. Oh, I'm missing those. I think that's it. I just have to run the organic solvent and sulfuric acid and ammonia out here, and we're good, I think. We'd literally be burning about half a second of uranium and some iron, 1.5 of iron, I think, something like that, but... And a little bit of... Oh, that's the other thing. Boy, that's one more thing. Yep, gotta add that too. Gotta make this a little bit longer. Now, what am I using to determine how long that like, what am I basing my number of burners off of? I'm making a guesstimate depending on how much of, like, each different type of product they're having to destroy that I'm throwing at it in this line. And I'm also probably making enough stuff that I'm gonna have to do some balancing. of some description. That is actually a belt balancer. A lane balancer, I should say. That is the corner, the turn balancer. Okay, next. What do I want to work on for the next half hour? Because again, I don't need to turn this on yet. In fact, this will probably be the last thing I turn on after setting up everything else. It's only actually used in 2 things. I know, let's grab, Yeah, let's shove all the stone that I just mined manually into this, making me all of the landfill. So I have lots of landfill. How about actually doing something with that landfill here? Take this and shove, like, everything. I'll take my buildings. I'll shove all my buildings into the car. And, like, all of that. But all this, like, material stuff, I'll keep the pipes. But otherwise, all this material, yeah, that's all going in there. You're coming with me. I would like to fill a car as well, but... Oh yeah, I have to do the zinc. That's what we'll do. Once I do this, we'll do zinc. Because my zinc is wrong, and I need to fix it. Glorious updated molybdenum. The updated molybdenum. Looks pretty awesome. Really? UPS, please. Please! Come on, you can do it! Bang, boom, pow. Why did I not do a underground there? Liquid nitrogen, please. So, 9,000 units. Of glorious landfill. I have to, like, get as centered as I can. And then back, because otherwise... Alright, good. We are aligned. How quickly does 9,000 units of landfill disappear? About that quickly, without even making it to the opposite shore of this lake. Oh, joy. Didn't even make it to the opposite shore. Here, I'll grab everything. Thanks. Yeah, I'll take everything out of the car. I am going to landfill that entire lake. Just so we're clear. That lake will no longer exist by the time I'm done with it. In fact, I need to actually keep this empty. My molybdenum processing of the stone. So, yet more. Oops. Darn it. Hate making errors like that. Hey, it's on the opposite shore. Now I don't have to worry about wastage. how things look. We made it! We made it to the opposite shore. Now to fill the whole of the rest of this right side in. That's the next step. And for reference, I'm doing this just so that I don't have to turn my bus if I need this space out here. So as I continue my northward expansion of the bus, I run into this lake, and since I've already done a turn in my bus, I don't really feel like doing another turn. And I'm sort of blocked. If I do one turn at this point to go around this lake, I have to do at least 2 turns. So I've just decided we're gonna fill in the lake. Screw it. We'll go through the problem rather than around the problem. Okay, the zinc. I am going to need 4 more ball mills. Hold on to 2 more ball mills. We'll need to go back further down my bus so I can actually start picking up a decent amount of materials. Of course, I run headlong into my own car. Parked on the side of the road. Or on the road, in this case. I think that this wants the copper plate. Alright, so it does want actual copper plate as well as the circuits. Alright, 1, 2. Then I need 7 impact crushers. Dang, I need to pick up wood and engines. May as well grab mining drills for this as well. I have like the most random things that I'm just automating for the sake of being able to more easily handcraft buildings, other buildings. I am exclusively handcrafting mining drills so that I don't have to handcraft mining drills when handcrafting other machines. You're gonna need tin. That's what you need a lot of. So 7 impact crushers. Why 7? Because I am missing 1 that is required. I need 12 total. So I have 5, need to add 7. And here I have 10. When I should have, I think, 12 hydroclassifiers, but I actually need 24. It's like, well, actually, you need 24 hydroclassifiers. Oh boy. At least I think it's 24. That would be 5 more. 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14. That's how many more I needed. And this is to actually... Oh, and then, of course, I need one more casting unit. And... Well, I have the advanced foundries, so I'm not worried about that in the slightest. I have plenty of the foundries. So yeah, this was just one of the other things that I wanted to get done, is fix this zinc processing, because I am going to need a lot of zinc plates. A lot of zinc plates. Zinc plates will be used in particular because I need zinc acetate to make one of the silicon wafer products. And I need to go right. Game. Let me go right. Take a right-hand turn. Beautiful Dolans being made. Now, which one's my zinc line again? That's my molten zinc, yeah. Alright, so I should... Oh god. I left my car without hitting a full stop. Oh, god dang it. Of course there's always more. There's always more. I need 3 more of these. Do I have the iron for that? No, of course not. It's like I can mine rocks for the stone that I'm missing to make the one, but I don't have enough iron to feed the other 2. So yeah, this also needs limestone. Because of course it also needs limestone. Why wouldn't it need limestone as well? I don't like that there's no crashing sound on the niobium pipe. There is no sound for crashing on niobium pipes. It is disturbing. Alright, 1, 2, 3. I do not need these to be sitting, nor carbon black, or rayon, or castings, or any of that. Any of that stuff. All that can go. Tempted to just ram my car into it until it disappears as well. It's like, die! Die via car. You're looking unhealthy. With those, dead mining drills. Not able to mine anything more. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, this is a problem. It's like, oh yeah, that reminds me. We've got a salt patch that no longer has 2 drills of salt producing. Two mounds of salt have disappeared from the face of the planet. We have consumed the salt. Which, actually, I should stop doing because it's not necessary. It is not necessary to convert salt into saline water because, as I've mentioned before, sand extractors exist. Why is that important? You can use sand extractors to get infinite stone from iron. And what does that have to do with anything? Well, there's this process somewhere in some machine. You? I forget the machine. Saline water can be made directly out of stone in washers. So instead of doing this in a chemical plant, you can do this out of washers. Washer. I'll just make one. Washer. Make for me saline water. How much for saline? 30 or 3.33 stone per 16.7. If I want, like, say 50 per second saline, that's 10 per second stone, which is 4 per second iron sticks. That's 2 per second of iron. So for 2 per second of iron in, I can get 50 per second of saline water out. That's honestly a fair trade. Because really, saline water is a limitation in saltwater electrolysis used to get the very important chlorine as well as the very important sodium hydroxide, which I'm actually not currently making enough of either. So I do need to expand those systems. And I sort of want to use my salt for other things. Look, gasp. I want my salt for other things. This is not where I'm making stuffs. I can also do the same thing for stone wool. So the fact that this patch of stone is being tapped is irrelevant, because as long as I have iron, I have stone. And gravel, and all the other things on the planet. Had to get a whole bunch of stuff out of the way. This is gonna be interesting. Really? Really? Why? Oh, you're gonna make me have to do things the hard way. I dislike the hard way greatly. So yes, I need 24 because 12 makes 3, 24 processes 3, and 8 processes 15. Oh, right, I need to actually do that as well. To make enough rods to feed this. So 15 into 3 into 3 into 3 into whatever further down. It'll be 7.5 units of plates in the end. I just need a line to place down all of these stupid hydroclassifiers. So, Pyanodon, if you ever do watch this, which Pyanodon does tend to actually watch the streams of the content, and he has been watching this series. My one point of concern on this zinc processing chain is, I think it's a little bit too much on the, hydroclassifiers. Probably a little bit too much on the hydroclassifiers, frankly speaking. It's a lot to process a single yellow belt. Of the zinc ore. Just a little bit much. Oh, great. Do I have any? I do. Alright. That makes it simple. Well, frankly, my complaints between my stream and others' streams as they've gone through the process of making these various processing setups, Pyanodon has made changes to the actual numbers of machines required to do certain things. In particular, the biggest, most notable set of changes has been in the jaw crusher speed, as well as the copper chain version of the recipe for the jaw crushers, converting the grade 2s, or making the grade 2s out of grade 1 copper. This line used to be 24 jaw crushers long. Now it is 9. Now it is 9 long. Oh, hello. I am out of belt. Let's see if I have enough time to go grab more belt, because that's going to be problematic. I have some belt being made out of rubber belts more efficiently down here. So sad that I fully tapped that salt already. I mean, it's not like I have a lack of salt around. I mean, I've totally got another 7.7 mil sitting right there, and I've got another 5-ish up here. Just a little bit. of salt hanging about the place. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Right there. Boink. You there. Yeah, take that, please. And those, and all of those. While I'm out and about, I guess I'll grab more of my niobium underground pipe. Why I'm making this stuff all the way out at the actual niobium production line is questionable at best. It was convenient at the time, but I think I need to move these machines to the actual bus at some point or other. So yeah, that's interesting looking at the iron oxide from the nitrobenzene stuff. I don't quite think it's as bad as has been let on by people. I think nitrobenzene isn't actually all that difficult to get. It's not particularly expensive of a material to make. Alright, this is gonna be an issue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gee, I hope I have enough inserters. Actually, I hope... Nope, I was just about to say, I hope I have enough power poles, too. Actually, I have plenty of those. Those are not a concern in the slightest. As matter of fact. Okay, 4 more of these. May as well have symmetry. Equidistant between the two things here. Yeah, I mean, if you want a 900 per second belt, you can make one yourself. I wouldn't suggest it, though. The game has a bit of an issue at 270. In fact, I haven't mentioned this yet, but... Or it hasn't... It's been on my mod list the whole time, but it hasn't come up yet. And that is that I have a mod that adds faster belts. In particular, this belt moves at 270 items per second. I think it's this green one. Anyway, I forget. But, no, it's ingredient in this one, which is in this one, which is in this one, which is in this one. So this is the 270 per second belt. And it literally moves things so quickly that the game's frame rate can't keep up it will appear as if things are frozen on your bus when they are actually moving. And there's a point where the speed is so fast that it makes things look like they're traveling backwards too, and then there's times where it looks like it's not compressed when actually the things are moving so fast that it's skipping frames, and it actually looks like there's a bigger gap between them because it's not actually rendering all of the positions of the items on the belt. It gets rather kooky. Right, I also need these. Can't forget about those things. In like the last 2 minutes of the stream. Okay, that feeds that stuff. I think I'll just finish setting up this zinc while I'm here. Just because. Although, honestly, let's face it, 24 is a little bit much on machine count. It's a little much. And they only make 3 per second. Like, really? 24 machines processing 3 into 3. Like, seriously? Seriously. That is a thing. So what got done today? Guess I will at least review the day's progress. So today, the iron oxide was set up after at least attempting to try to feed in enough coke for my power. It appears as if things may have stabilized at some point. Somewhat. Yeah, it looks to me like things have started stabilizing. We're consuming a lot of power right now, which, yeah, that's going to continue being a thing. Guess I'll start doing this side. And then I set up the rare earth oxide chain. I'm not feeding the rare earth oxide chain yet, so I haven't really done the logistics work, but now that it is, all the buildings are in place and the basics of the logistics is done, it all comes down to just feeding the beast with the fluids that it needs to hydrate itself. And then all will be well in the universe. But it is not actually particularly required at the moment to do that, because I don't have a pressing need to actually make the rare earth oxides at the moment. I will need them when I start setting up the remaining items that are necessary for the Circuit 2s. Which will be done relatively soon, just not immediately. So I'm gonna go until I have finished off this last little project, which is actually processing all of the, or at least adding the buildings to be able to fully process a full yellow belt of zinc ore into half of a yellow belt of zinc plates out. And what does that ultimately, like, mean? Exactly? Well, it means that once I'll have enough stuff so that when I start demanding that 7.5 units per second on the plates, that I'll actually be able to supply it. That's really all that means. Now, when it comes to water for all of this, I'm probably going to need more. Because this is eating 600 per second, potentially, up to 600 per second, and then this adds another 120 to the mix. And then I need to add one more of these. Ah, that's so unfortunate. Alright. Alright, you win game. I will split. I will split and do that. And that. And that. And... do. There we go. That works. And then all that's left is to grab my vehicle, head on over to where I am routing this molten zinc, and add one more casting unit out there, and that will allow me to produce up to 7.5 units per second of the zinc. And then I'll have to double most of it if I want more. Now, why in the actual living hell did I do this like this? Like, why? Yes, my rock finder does an awesome job all of the time. If there is a rock, my car will ram into it. Guaranteed, every time. No exceptions. My car will even run into every other car that I own at some point, so it will find every obstacle it possibly can, and will invariably run into it. And I'm also using vehicle snap. This is with vehicle snap, which lets you actually operate on straight lines. This will work. And that is not quite... Oh. Here. You. Die. Thank you. You feed. You there. Done. Ta-da! Alright, with that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. Today was Rare Earth Day, primarily. Rare Earth Day got set up out here, just needs the input logistics tapping into one whole Rare Earth Bolide in a patch of 5 next to another patch of 5 near another patch of 6 near another patch of 6 near. Yeah, you get the point. Also, 700 and something units of tar per second exists out here. Potentially, just gonna throw that out there again. Yet again. So we did that and set up what actually needs to be set up to fully process my zinc that I'm currently mining / able to mine, thanks to the amount of syngas that I have. So, yellow belt out, single out of 60 mining drills. Yes, this is 60 mining drills in total. And yeah, that has been settled. And I connected the shorelines. So now I have a straight shot to this 7.5 mil molybdenum. So that's it for the day. I will be back tomorrow with more of the Pyanodon's playthrough as I continue working towards Circuit 2s. Thank you all again for watching, and I will see you all then.